So Gabriella, I'm currently learning about the Vietnam War, but I'm kind of confused. How did it even start?
Good question. I will answer that in this video. My name is Gabriella.
And I'm Avesa. Let's get started.
First, we need to answer the question, why did the Vietnam War start? We need to look at the causes that led up to the beginning of the war. The war was a direct result of the First Indochina War, 1946 through 1954, between France, which demanded Vietnam as a colony, and the communist forces, which were known as Viet Minh.
Oh, so the causes of the Vietnam War revolved around the basic belief held by America that communism was alarming and was going to expand all over Southeast Asia. Neither the Soviet Union nor the United States would risk a war fought against each other. This was called the domino theory.
You got it. Let's move on.
So when did the Vietnam War start?
It started November 1st, 1955 and lasted until April 30th, 1975. It was fought in South Vietnam.
That's important to know.
Yes. Now let's review who were the presidents during the Vietnam War.
The presidents were Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy,
Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, and Gerald Ford.
Okay, but we're missing a main point that is crucial.
You're right. We need to know who went to war.
The Viet Cong went against South Vietnam and its principal ally, the United States.
Wait, I think we're getting a little bit off track. We need to know some of the must-haves.
Escalation is a key word that we haven't covered yet. So what's escalation?
Escalation is how the United States increased their involvement in the Vietnam War. An example of escalation was the Gulf of Tonkin incident. In early August 1964, two U.S. destroyers stationed in the Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam radioed that they had been fired upon by North Vietnamese forces.
Now time to learn about the Viet Cong.
So who were they anyways?
The Viet Cong were English Vietnamese communists, and with the help of the North Vietnamese Army, went against South Vietnam and the United States. The name is to have first been used by South Vietnamese president to criticize the rebels.
Okay, we're still missing a few things.
First off, who was John F. Kennedy and what role did he play in the Vietnam War?
John F. Kennedy was a president during the time of the war.
He was a strong believer in communism. In his first speech on becoming president, Kennedy made it oblivious that he would continue the policy of the former president, Dwight Eisenhower, and the government of Diem in South Vietnam.
Kennedy also supported the domino theory and was reassured that if South Vietnam fell into communism, then other states in the area would too as a consequence.
Time to talk about the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution.
The Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, also known as the Southeast Asia Resolution, acted August 10, 1964, and it was a joint resolution that the United States Congress passed on August 7, 1964, in response to the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Let's move on to understand who were the Ho Chi Minh. As the leader of the Vietnamese nationalist movement of nearly 3 decades, who was one of the prime movers of the post-World War II anti-colonial movement in Asia and one of the most influential communist leaders of the 20th century.
He was the founder of the Indochina Communist Party 1930 and its successor, the Viet Minh 1941, and president from 1945 to 1969.
Wait, we forgot to mention Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon B. Johnson was elected Vice President of the United States in 1960 and became the 36th President of the United States. He is remembered for his Great Society social service programs, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and expanding U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. Now you have learned all about the background and causes of the Vietnam War.
And some key words that are important to remember.
Thank you for watching.